Roblox Forsaken. Now you've probably played Forsaken before, which is why you probably clicked on this video. It's basically Pillar Chase 2 and Survive the Killer had a baby.
What
It's a
the
Roblox
heck?
survival game with killers and survivors that are part of Roblox nostalgia and history. It takes place in a Forsaken realm. Get it? Because the name of the game is Forsaken? I am making this video because of the lore. No one has really made a video about the lore and story of Forsaken. The lore is unfinished. The lore I'm about to explain to you is what people call Act 1 of Forsaken. Whenever Act 2 comes out, I'll probably make a video about it too. By the way, I got all of this lore from the Forsaken Wiki's The Spectre page. So if you want to dive into the lore yourself, the link to the page will be in the description. Less yapping, let's just get into it. It all starts with two Roblox players, Tyler and David. These players are victims of an entity known as what the heck is my boss? These players are victims of an entity known as the Spectre. All we know about the Spectre so far is that he is in charge of the Forsaken world, in charge of all the survivors and killers. And we also know that he created the pocket realm hell that Forsaken takes place in. Anyways, one of the victims, one of the victims whose name is Tyler, his Roblox account is called A Piece to the Puzzle. Very interesting name. I wonder what can be on this Roblox account. And this is what his About Me page of his account says. Chapter 1. Tyler's Story. It started when I was all alone in my room. Another bad day. So I was just trying to lay down in bed for a bit and get some rest. I laid on my side and looked at my window, and I swear that it was a different shade of grey than it usually was. However, I paid no mind to it, as I had just assumed that I was seeing things due to my somber suffering. It was subtle like that at first. A few small illusions that could be disregarded as your mind playing tricks on you. But then, my walls began to contort, warping and folding in on themselves as if they were alive. My heart raced as the room twisted, bending in ways it should never have. I tried to move, to scream, but the air grew thick and heavy, suffocating in my breath. One of the walls stretched forward at me, a jagged blur that rushed towards my face. There's no time to react, and before I could even comprehend what was happening, it struck me, and everything went black. Dun dun dun! Now, this message in Tyler's bio is basically him describing how he got sucked into the Forsaken realm. So now this tells us that if you are a victim of the Spectre, all of your surroundings look warped and distorted and you see illusions. I'm assuming these illusions are the killers, Jason, Cool Kid, 1x1x1 and John Doe, which are the killers in the game at the time of recording this video. Also on Tyler's Roblox account, he only has one game favorited. The game is called A Message. And well, this game is private, so you cannot join it, but this is what it says in the description. When I woke, I was no longer in my home. I was in a place I could never have imagined. The ground beneath me was cold and unforgiving. The sky above me painted with an unsettling hue. I had no idea how I got there, or why, but the emptiness around me felt like a warning. That was where I first encountered it, and the first time it took me through one of its games, which I personally called the Games of Hell. There was nobody else playing except for me and a strange figure with a hockey mask on. He walked towards me, machete in hand, and kept racking me until there's none left of me to be recognized. The process repeated over and over again, with sometimes where I'd be able to get a breath of fresh air in the empty beachside forest, and some where I'd experienced the same fate once more. This tells us what happened after Tyler's eyes closed and he became unconscious. He woke up in the lobby. Yes, the Forsaken lobby is canon. It is where the Spectre puts the survivors when they're waiting their turn at a so-called game. Also, you know those random NPCs in the lobby? Yeah, well, they are also survivors who are waiting there for their turn at the Spectre. What I'm saying is, those NPCs are also survivors who are waiting for their turn at the Spectre's game. Also, when Tyler says that he was the only survivor in the game, along with a strange guy with a hockey mask, which is obviously Jason, the killer, this could mean one of two things. Number one, in the lore, when it is your turn to play the game, you are the only survivor in the game. This is unlikely since some survivors' abilities completely center around helping other players, such as Elliot's ability, which allows him to heal other players with pizza slices. Or two, which is the more likely option, is that Tyler was the first person to become a victim of the Spectre. Anyways, A Piece to the Puzzle isn't the only account Tyler owes. He also owns another account, which I'm gonna try to pronounce, but I'm probably gonna get wrong. Friday TQ me for the word Friday underscore and then a bunch of random letters. And well, this account about bio page tells us more about Tyler's story. It tells us what happened after he became a victim. This is what it says. It had me trapped in its home for so long that I grew numb to its torment. My greatest regret is letting it realize that once it understood that there was no more value to be gained for me, it wasted no time in tearing me apart. That's when I ceased to exist. It turned me from someone into no one. And yet I still breathed. I still felt. Still thought. Still did everything it believed I couldn't. I was alive, but I was no longer myself. That's when I began to study it. Even though I didn't want to, I couldn't do anything but observe. Not yet, at least. For the sake of my studies, I decided to title it The Spectre, 200 years. Now, I do not really know what 200 years means at the end of the bio. Does it mean Tyler's been stuck in the realm for 200 years? Maybe, I don't really know. But what this bio tells us is that the Spectre's name isn't the Spectre. It's just a nickname Tyler gave to the entity that controls everything. A fitting name, that is. It also says that when the Spectre thought Tyler had no value anymore, it tore him apart. And Tyler ceased to exist? That he was still breathing? I do not really know what this means. But my best guess is that Tyler became a spectator of the games and stopped playing them. Which also explains why and how. Which also explains how he's writing all these messages. Remember how at the start of the video, how I said there were two victims? Tyler and David. Well, this is David's story. Chapter 2. David's story. David's story so far has only been told by the shirt Tyler's a piece to the puzzle account is wearing. The shirt is a Minecraft-looking 8-bit key, and the description of the shirt is a bunch of jumbled up letters. Well, when you decode it, this is what it says. His name was David. He was far too young to be sentenced to a painful eternity. But it did not kill. It only wanted more power. Now people think that David is Cool Kid himself. Since in the Forsaken lore, Cool Kid is a 10-year-old child who does not know that when he tags someone, quote-unquote tags someone, they actually die. Cool Kid just thinks they fall asleep and that this is a game. It's pretty sad. He does not know that he's literally a murderer. Some more information about the story. The Spectre doesn't have any favorite survivors or killers, but prefers those who are extremely emotional. The lobby scanner is where the Spectre sends the survivors when it's setting up its game. The killers, on the other hand, are sent to their own personal limbo. A majority of the characters' items were granted by the Spectre. It can take away stuff too. The NPCs in the lobby also participate in the games. It's just not their turn yet. The Spectre chooses what survivors to forsake based on their negative feelings like guilt or grief. The Spectre has no official design, but the closest thing to an official design is this avatar that the Count has. The Spectre has puppets that serve him. Interestingly, Elliot is mentioned in a piece of a cipher. What major part could Elliot hold to the story? I don't really know, comment down below. There's an account for the Spectre which holds the Forsaken dev team group. This is pretty much all the lore we know of Forsaken so far. If you want to investigate yourself, as I said before, the link to the Forsaken wiki lore page is in the description. Anyways, tell me in the comments what your thoughts are on the lore and I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe and like right now, bye! Subscribe by now, little bit.